Glory to Jesus Christ, and welcome to St. Cyril and Methodius Ukrainian Orthodox Church. I'm Father Gregory, the pastor. It's good to be with you this morning on Sunday, June 18th, Father's Day on the secular calendar, and the feasts of all saints of North America and Ukraine on the church's calendar. Today, I want to talk to you about something that often gets misunderstood, and that's the vice of self-esteem. St. John Cassian, in his treatise on the eight vices, says that self-esteem is the most dangerous or most difficult of all vices to cure because it tends to insinuate itself into all the other areas of our life, especially all the other virtues. And so he says, if I speak well, I'm prone to have an inflated sense of myself. If I don't speak well and am silent, then I'm likewise the vice of self-esteem causes me to think well of myself for being silent, when in fact I'm just not saying anything because I'm not eloquent. The idea then behind self-esteem is not a sort of a reasonable or a balanced view of ourselves, but an inflated view of ourselves. Excuse me. This is what in the spiritual life we mean by self-esteem. We don't mean the idea that we feel competent or capable of doing something. It is rather that unrealistic view. So Cassian says that there are three cures for self-esteem. We should not seek the praise of others. We should reject thoughts of self-praise, and we should regard ourselves, as nothing before God. Those first two, don't seek the praise of others, and reject thoughts of self-praise, those really get to the notion of what he's saying as self-esteem as sort of an inflated or an unrealistic view of oneself. That last one, to regard yourself as nothing before God, however, seems to be the one that people pick up and use to justify a rejection of self-esteem, to justify sort of self-hatred as being combating the vice of self-esteem. And I don't think that's really what the saint is getting at. Rather, to think of myself as nothing in the eyes of God is to understand that, that I don't add anything to God, and maybe in a more positive sense, to understand that everything I have comes to me from the hand of the God who loves me. And so to regard myself as nothing before God is not to stand in the mirror and going, oh, you awful person, you waste of space, you sack of dirt. It's rather to cultivate a spirit of openness and gratitude to God. And I need to be grateful to God precisely for the gift of my life, but also for the people in my life, and for even my circumstances. Those last two can be difficult, especially when either I have abusive people in my life or unhelpful people in my life, or my situation is hard or painful. And yet the saint is saying that I avoid an inflated view of myself, an unrealistic view of myself, by cultivating that sense of gratitude to God, even in difficult and painful circumstances. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that's difficult for me. And yet it's something that I really have to do if I'm going to avoid the vice of self-esteem, that vice that corrupts all other virtues from within. The vice of self-esteem is one which is very much with us in our contemporary world. People imagine that they are better than they are. But let me suggest to you that the reason that we feel better than we are, we think of ourselves better or more highly than we are, is precisely because we haven't cultivated the gratitude to God for the gift of our lives. Instead of saying, thank you, God, and being open to God, to receiving from Him everything that He gives me, the easy things as well as the hard, I inflate my sense of self. The gift of gratitude is how I think in the end we heal self-esteem. We need to be grateful to God for the gift of our lives, in all of its elements, not just the parts of the elements, that parts of our lives that we like. So what about you? Are you trying to cultivate self-esteem? You think it might work? Why not give it a try? Well, it's 8:15 here in Mad City, and I've got to get ready for liturgy. If you are here in the Madison area, you are more than welcome to come to liturgy this morning with us at St. Cyril Methodius at 1020 Regent Street. And it's an ugly building, and we're down in the lower level. It's hard not to see it it's hard to recognize as a church, but we're actually a church, and you'll see it. Liturgy is at 9:30. You're more than welcome. If you're not in the Madison area, why not look for an Orthodox church near you and think about attending liturgy there? Well, I've got to go. Happy Father's Day. Happy Feast of All Saints of North America. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and God bless you. Bye-bye.